Providence Municipal Court. A corporate executive in a $2,000 suit strides into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, radiating the kind of arrogance that instantly fills a room. She's here for a seemingly routine speeding ticket, 68 in a 45 miles per hour zone, something that should take 5 minutes, a small fine, and then she'd be back to her corner office. But 42-year-old Jennifer Hartwell has no intention of following the usual script. From the moment she walks in, designer suit perfectly pressed, Rolex gleaming on her wrist, hair and makeup flawless, she exudes wealth, status, and contempt. Every step toward the podium, every dismissive glance at the court staff, the barely concealed eye roll as Judge Caprio finishes reviewing paperwork, screams entitlement. Judge Caprio, ever patient, greets her warmly. "Good morning, Miss Hartwell. I see you're here regarding a speeding violation on Route 95. Please tell me what happened." Jennifer's response is icy, sharp, and unapologetic. "Your Honor, I was driving to an important business meeting. The speed limit on that stretch is ridiculously low. Everyone goes 65 to 70. I was going with the flow of traffic." Her tone isn't merely explanatory, it's accusatory, as if the law personally inconveniences her. And then, in a moment that freezes the courtroom, she does the unthinkable. She raises her hand and flips the middle finger at Judge Caprio, right there on camera, in front of witnesses and court staff. The courtroom gasps. Every eye is on her. In that instant, Jennifer Hartwell transforms from a routine defendant into a living example of contempt, entitlement, and the peril of underestimating real authority. Judge Caprio's expression tightens just slightly, calm, measured, but unmistakably firm, and the lesson about respect, accountability, and the limits of wealth is about to unfold in full. This is not just a speeding ticket. This is a masterclass in why courtroom decorum exists, why some lines cannot be crossed, and why arrogance in front of a judge who values character over status carries consequences that hit harder than any fine could. Officer Patterson clocked you at 68 in a 45 miles per hour zone, 23 miles over the limit. Judge Caprio's voice is calm but firm. "Miss Hartwell, that's significant." Jennifer leans back slightly, exhaling like a parent dealing with a deliberately difficult child. "With all due respect, Your Honor, that section just changed from 55 to 45. It's a speed trap designed to generate revenue. Everyone knows it." The courtroom shifts uncomfortably. Regulars exchange glances, sensing her arrogance and obliviousness to how precarious her position has become. Judge Caprio's expression remains steady, but his voice tightens. "Miss Hartwell, whether you agree with the speed limit or not, it's posted clearly. Driving 23 miles over the limit puts other drivers at risk." Jennifer lets out a sharp sigh. "Your Honor, I've been driving for 25 years without an accident. I'm a safer driver at 68 than most people are at 45. The prosecutor interjects. "Your Honor, Ms. Hartwell also has 3 prior speeding violations in the past 5 years. 2 were paid, 1 reduced via traffic school." Jennifer's face flushes with anger. "Those are irrelevant to this case." Judge Caprio studies the file carefully. "Actually, Ms. Hartwell, they're very relevant. They show a pattern. This isn't a one-time mistake. This is habitual disregard for traffic laws." "I don't have a habitual disregard for anything, Your Honor," she snaps. "I have places to be, and speed limits that don't reflect modern vehicle safety standards." The courtroom grows tense. Even first-time visitors sense she's digging her own hole. Judge Caprio leans forward slightly, measured patience in every word. "Miss Hartwell, I understand you feel the speed limit is too low. The solution isn't ignoring the law. It's petitioning the city council or traffic authority." Jennifer scoffs. "With respect, Your Honor, I don't have time to fight City Hall over every poorly conceived regulation." Her words drip with entitlement, and the subtle irony isn't lost on anyone. Judge Caprio glances at the officer's report and traffic camera footage. "Miss Hartwell, Officer Patterson noted that when he pulled you over, you were argumentative and initially refused to provide your license. Is that accurate?" Jennifer's tone is dismissive. "I asked why I was being pulled over. That's my right." "You absolutely have that right. Judge Caprio acknowledges. But according to the officer, you told him he was wasting your time and that you had better things to do than deal with incompetent traffic enforcement. Jennifer doesn't deny it. The courtroom is silent, the weight of her behavior sinking in, as Judge Caprio prepares to deliver the lesson that money, status, and arrogance cannot buy immunity from accountability. I was late for a meeting, Your Honor. A very important meeting that cost my company money because I was sitting on the side of the highway, Jennifer Hartwell declares, her voice dripping with indignation. Judge Caprio's calm gaze doesn't waver. Miss Hartwell, you were late because you were speeding. The officer didn't make you speed. You chose to break the law. Jennifer scoffs, waving a hand as if the law itself is the problem. The law is arbitrary. The courtroom tightens. Even those who haven't been to court sense the rising tension. Judge Caprio leans forward, voice measured but firm. The law is not arbitrary. The speed limit exists for safety. Your belief that you're above it because you're in a hurry doesn't make it arbitrary. Jennifer shoots back, sharp and defensive. I never said I was above it. Judge Caprio's eyes narrow slightly. Your actions say otherwise. For speeding tickets in 5 years, arguing with the officer, standing in my courtroom, suggesting speed limits don't apply to you because you have important meetings. Her jaw clenches, her pride and fury boiling over. Your Honor, I came here expecting fairness, not a lecture, she snaps. Fairness is exactly what you're getting, Miss Hartwell, he replies evenly, his voice carrying the weight of authority. The fine for going 23 miles over the limit is $385, plus a mandatory driving safety course due to your prior violations. Jennifer gasps audibly, her face reddening. $385? That's outrageous. Judge Caprio's tone is firm, yet calm. It is the law, Miss Hartwell. The same law that applies to everyone who comes through this courtroom. Her hands grip the podium so tightly her knuckles whiten. This is absurd. I run a division at Northeastern Financial. I make decisions affecting hundreds of employees, and I'm being treated like a criminal for driving 68 miles per hour on a highway. Caprio's gaze doesn't waver. Your job title and income don't exempt you from traffic laws. The person before you was a delivery driver making minimum wage. Jennifer's face is red, her breathing heavy, fury and entitlement boiling over. And then, in a moment of catastrophic stupidity fueled by arrogance and rage, she does it. She raises her right hand and flips the middle finger directly at Judge Frank Caprio. Gasps erupt across the courtroom. Oh my God, is heard multiple times. The bailiff steps forward immediately. The court reporter freezes mid-keystroke. Judge Caprio's warm, compassionate expression vanishes, replaced by cold, controlled fury. Miss Hartwell, his voice quiet yet booming, carrying like thunder. Did you just make an obscene gesture at this court? Jennifer lifts her chin defiantly, refusing to blink. I expressed my opinion of this process, Your Honor. Caprio's eyes pierce hers. Wrong answer. Catastrophically wrong. You've crossed a line, and now you will face the consequences of your contempt. This is not a negotiation. This is not about your meetings, your money, or your status. You will learn that no one, regardless of wealth or position, is above the law. The courtroom goes silent, every eye fixed on the corporate executive, who just transformed a routine traffic hearing into a dramatic display of entitlement crashing headlong into justice. Expressed your opinion. Judge Caprio repeats slowly, his voice deliberate, every word measured. By giving this court the middle finger in open session, on the record, in front of witnesses. Jennifer Hartwell freezes, her defiant mask slipping as the gravity of her actions begins to sink in. Ms. Hartwell, do you understand what you've just done? She blurts, voice trembling. I made a gesture, Your Honor, freedom of expression. The courtroom falls deathly silent, every eye fixed on the unfolding spectacle, sensing they are witnessing something extraordinary, and not in Jennifer's favor. Judge Caprio rises from his bench, the room holding its breath. When he stands, you know serious consequences are imminent. Miss Hartwell, he begins, calm yet authoritative. You didn't just insult me personally. You insulted this court. You insulted the judicial system. You insulted every citizen who respects the rule of law. And you did so with premeditation and clear intent. Jennifer opens her mouth to protest, but his next command cuts through the air like steel. You are not speaking anymore. You are listening. Silence falls. In my 35 years on the bench, I've dealt with anger, fear, and frustration. I've shown compassion to single mothers who couldn't pay fines. I've dismissed tickets for elderly citizens on fixed incomes. I've given second chances to young people who made mistakes. Do you know why? Jennifer remains silent. Because they showed respect. His gaze sweeps the courtroom, landing back on her. Bailiff, please approach. The bailiff steps forward. Judge Caprio's voice rings clear for all to hear. Place Miss Hartwell in custody. She is being held in contempt of court. Shock floods her face. Wait, what? You can't, she cries. I absolutely can, Miss Hartwell. And I am. Two court officers move in, flanking her as her confidence crumbles. Your Honor, please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. You didn't mean to disrespect this court? No. You raised your middle finger deliberately, with full knowledge and intent. Tears threaten, her corporate bravado evaporating in an instant. Judge Caprio's voice softens just slightly, but every word carries weight. Miss Hartwell, I am holding you in contempt of court. The penalty is 30 days in Providence County Jail, with the possibility of reduction to 10 days if you demonstrate genuine remorse and an understanding of why your actions were unacceptable. 30 days, Your Honor? I can't go to jail. I have a job. Responsibilities. Her voice cracks, pleading. Judge Caprio leans forward, his expression stern, unwavering. You should have thought about that before you decided to insult this court. The courtroom is silent, all witnesses staring as entitlement meets accountability in its rawest, most unflinching form. Jennifer Hartwell, powerful and untouchable outside these walls, now realizes that inside this courtroom, respect, and only respect rules. Jennifer Hartwell's voice trembles, breaking under the weight of the moment. Please, Your Honor, I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. Please don't do this. Judge Caprio's expression remains calm, unyielding. Miss Hartwell, every person who comes before this court makes mistakes. That is why they are here. The difference is most show respect even when admitting fault. You showed contempt. Her pleas become desperate, mascara streaking her cheeks. I'll do anything, Your Honor. I'll apologize publicly. I'll pay whatever fine you want. Please don't send me to jail. Judge Caprio's voice is firm, carrying the authority that has defined his courtroom for decades. The time for apologies was before you made that gesture. The time to show respect was when you walked into this courtroom. You chose arrogance and contempt instead. The prosecutor interjects, calm but precise. For the record, Your Honor, Ms. Hartwell's contempt was witnessed by myself, the court staff, and approximately 40 citizens in the gallery. It was deliberate and unmistakable. Judge Caprio nods, allowing the weight of the statement to settle in the courtroom. Ms. Hartwell, the original fine of $385 for excessive speeding with prior violations is now increased to the maximum, $1,000. You will also complete a mandatory 40-hour driver education course, and your license is suspended for 90 days pending completion. The room is silent, the gallery watching in awe as a moment of entitlement collapses under the rules of justice. Jennifer glances desperately at the spectators, hoping for a lifeline, but none comes. Judge Caprio leans forward slightly, voice still commanding but with a hint of measured mercy. However, I will give you one opportunity to demonstrate genuine understanding of your actions. You will spend the next 72 hours in custody. During that time, you will write a detailed statement explaining why your actions were wrong, why respect for the judicial system matters, and what you have learned. If your statement shows true remorse and comprehension, not merely fear of punishment, I will consider reducing your sentence. The contempt charge stands. You are responsible for the consequences of your decisions. No one here will excuse deliberate disrespect, and no amount of status or wealth changes that fact. Jennifer nods, tears flowing freely now, her corporate armor completely stripped away. In that courtroom, surrounded by witnesses and authority, she begins to grasp a lesson far larger than a speeding ticket. That respect is earned, not demanded, and that actions, even in moments of frustration, carry real, unyielding consequences. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I'll do it. Thank you. Jennifer Hartwell's voice quivers, but Judge Caprio is not finished. I'm not finished, Miss Hartwell. If your statement is self-serving, if it makes excuses, if it shows that you still don't understand the gravity of showing contempt to a court, you will serve the full 30 days. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. I understand completely. The bailiff steps forward. Take Miss Hartwell into custody. As officers lead Jennifer out of the courtroom in handcuffs, her designer suit, once a symbol of power and status, now seems absurd, almost mocking in the stark reality of the consequences she brought upon herself. Judge Caprio turns to the packed gallery, his voice measured but resonant. Ladies and gentlemen, what you just witnessed is something I never enjoy. Holding someone in contempt, sending someone to jail. These are not actions I take lightly, but they are actions I take seriously when necessary, because this courtroom represents something larger than any individual case. It represents the rule of law. It represents the principle that we resolve disputes through a civilized system, not through might, money, or status. He gestures toward the empty podium, where Jennifer had stood moments before. Miss Hartwell came here believing that her position, her income, her busy schedule entitled her to special treatment. When she didn't get it, when she was told she must follow the same rules as everyone else, she responded with the ultimate sign of disrespect. Some of you may think 30 days is harsh for a gesture, but that gesture was not just rude. It was an attack on the foundation of our justice system. If we allow people to show contempt without consequence, we are saying the court doesn't matter. And if the court doesn't matter, neither does the law. And if the law doesn't matter, chaos ensues. An elderly man in the back row, wearing a veteran's cap, nods vigorously. Judge Caprio acknowledges him. Sir, would you like to share your thoughts? The man stands slowly, voice steady but filled with conviction. Your Honor, my name is Robertson. I served in Korea. I've been coming to this courthouse for 40 years. I want to say you did the right thing. When I was young, we were taught that certain things are sacred. The flag, the church, the courtroom. Places where respect is given automatically, whether you feel like it or not. That woman, she forgot that. Or maybe nobody ever taught her. The courtroom murmurs in agreement. Judge Caprio nods warmly, acknowledging Mr. Chen's wisdom. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Let this be a lesson not just to Miss Hartwell, but to everyone who enters this courtroom. Respect is not optional. It is the foundation upon which justice stands, and it is earned through behavior, not status, wealth, or convenience. You're absolutely right. Respect for institutions isn't old-fashioned. It's essential. A voice from the gallery adds, a middle-aged woman, a high school teacher. Your Honor, I see this attitude every day. Kids who think rules don't apply to them because their parents have money or status. Seeing that woman held accountable gives me hope. Judge Caprio nods thoughtfully. That's exactly the issue. We've created a culture where some people believe status exempts them from basic decency. It doesn't. A corporate executive follows the same traffic laws as a delivery driver. A millionaire shows the same respect in court as someone making minimum wage. That's not oppression, that's equality. He pauses, letting the words sink in. Where are you watching from? Comment your city if you believe respect for the court system should never be optional. Turning back to the empty podium, where Jennifer Hartwell once stood, he continues. Ms. Hartwell will now have 72 hours to reflect on her actions, not just worry about consequences, but to truly understand why courtroom respect matters. If she emerges having learned that lesson, I will consider leniency. If not, she serves the full sentence. Because here's what I want everyone to understand. This courtroom exists to serve justice. Justice requires respect for the process. You may disagree with a ruling, appeal it, or even think a judge is wrong, but you do so while honoring the institution. Ms. Hartwell forgot that. Or perhaps no one ever taught her. Now she has 72 hours in a jail cell to learn what should have been instilled in her as a child. Some places, some institutions, some people deserve respect regardless of how you feel in the moment. The gavel falls. The next time someone walks into this courtroom thinking their money or status puts them above basic respect, I hope they remember Jennifer Hartwell. I hope they remember that contempt of court carries real, immediate, and serious consequences. Court is in recess. Subscribe to Judge Stories Whitey for more moments when the justice system defends its dignity and teaches lessons that should never have been forgotten. Jennifer Hartwell walked in as a corporate executive. She left in handcuffs as a reminder that respect for the law isn't negotiable, and contempt of court isn't a figure of speech. It's a serious charge with serious consequences. Judge Frank Caprio proved that day what every citizen knows in their bones. Some things are sacred. Some lines must never be crossed. And when they are, consequences must follow, or the system itself begins to crumble. This is what justice looks like when it defends itself.